continues next week. I can't believe what we have witnessed.
Popped up by Bursick. Set outside Presley, and that's a block for Colorado. Negediabu along with Pepperly.
I honestly don't know what just happened. It was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen our team play that well. Everyone was just firing on the same cylinders. Gabby was digging balls, Brenna was setting everything, and Jocelyn was putting up an amazing block. Like, we're all on the same page. Well, we just have to take care of our part. Like Jesse always says, we don't have to do anything extraordinary to win. We just have to play to our level at all times, and I think we did that very well tonight.
Yeah, great comments by Negediabu as the Buffaloes are out of the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1997. Hi, everybody. I'm Voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. Welcome into the Buffalo Stampede. Junior outside hitter Alexis Smith joining us for a couple of minutes. How about that weekend down in Waco, Texas? You guys were on fire.
It was a fun weekend for sure.
Yeah, kind of take us through it. Now, you start against James Madison. Kind of go back and take us through that match a little bit.
I think we started off a little slow. We're still getting used to the gym a little bit, but I think by the second and third set, we were playing some really good volleyball. They put up a really good fight, and they were a good team, but we ended up playing well at the end.
And then so the Buffaloes in the second round then had to face a top 20 team in Baylor. You're doing so on their home court, so you had that going on. Hostile crowd, I would imagine. But you guys kind of found a rhythm. That was about the worst loss that Baylor suffered all season long.
I think starting at point one, we had the energy and fire that we needed, and that carried us through the rest of the match.
You know, I think in basketball, a lot of times they talk about finding a rhythm a little bit. You can talk about that in football as well. Does that happen in volleyball, where a team kind of finds a rhythm?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, if you're serving and passing well, that's what's going to carry you through the game, and that's what we did really well. And I think that's why we played so well.
Did you kind of have a sense leading in that there was a good feel about the team?
There was a really good feel. Obviously, our coaches prepare us really well. Lee does an awesome job scouting the teams, and as well as Jesse and Evan. So they really prepare us well, and I think all we have to do is go in and play. You know,
I saw a comment by assistant coach Evan Sanders where she said the Buffaloes didn't see anything that they hadn't seen all season long. What she meant by that is the Pac-12 is so good, and the competition you guys face every week, you know, jumping into the NCAA tournament really is kind of what you faced all year long.
Right. Like you said, the Pac-12 is so deep, and Baylor is one of those really good teams that you're going to see in the NCAA tournament, so we were definitely very prepared for a competition like that.
Outstanding for the Colorado Buffaloes out of the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1997. Let's hear some comments from head coach Jesse Mahoney and senior Jocelyn Hayes.
We've played a lot of great matches this season against a lot of really good teams. You know, we've played Penn State, Illinois, you know, in the Big Ten, and then, you know, Baylor in the Big 12, and then obviously everyone in the Pac-12. And so we understand that Nebraska is very, very good, and we understand that certainly lately they've been dominant, I think you can say. But, you know, we're going to go out and do what we do and play the game that we play. And, you know, we feel like we've been competitive with everyone we played this year. And if we go out and play our game, we feel like we have a good opportunity to play with anybody.
I don't know about the stars aligning, but I do know an athlete's mind and competitive nature. And when you need to show up, you will show up. So I think that the competition level that our team has been playing at has come at the right time because we kicked into gear. We knew it was do or die. We know it's win or go home. So I think that's exactly what we kind of been doing, is showing up in big moments.
Now we continue with Alexis Smith, outside hitter for the Colorado Buffaloes, as they get set for the Sweet 16 on Friday in Lexington, Kentucky. Buffs are going to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers, which from a Buff standpoint is always awesome. Hey, before we get talking about that Sweet 16 matchup, you've been named first team All Pac-12 this week, and just a couple of days ago, in fact, we're named All Region. What does that mean to you when you get that kind of honor?
It's such an honor, and words really can't describe how grateful I am to have those honors. I really owe it to my teammates and my coaches for putting me in that position. All
right, let's talk about meeting the Huskers. You know, you're a Colorado native. You know what that has meant over the course of time. Colorado, Nebraska, big matchup on Friday, right?
For sure. I mean, that rivalry goes really deep, and I think obviously Nebraska is a really great program. They've been a great team for a long time, so it'll be a really fun match. Probably a really tough match, but we're excited about it.
Traveling that far, Buffs and Huskers got to go all the way out to Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, that's a long trip to play a Sweet 16 match.
It is. I think we'd rather be playing them in Lexington than we would in Nebraska, though.
Yeah, without question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime you don't have to go to Lincoln is always
That's
a good thing, right? How about the preparation leading up to the Sweet 16? How's practice been since you got back?
Actually, today's our first day back. They gave us yesterday off, so we'll be ready to get back in the gym today and then start working on some things that we're going to see with them this weekend.
How do you kind of approach things, or what does Jesse say to you guys when you talk about moving on to the next round? I mean, the intensity, the pressure begins to rise a little bit as you kind of move through a tournament, doesn't it?
A little bit. He always says, though, the only pressure is that you put on yourself. And so we have to continue to play well on our side, and that's what's going to ultimately control our destiny.
Yeah, some rarefied air. Buffalo's, by the way, for the 4th time in the Sweet 16. Have you kind of made sure that the other athletes in the team understand what Colorado, Nebraska means?
Not yet.
The ones not from Colorado?
Not yet, but I'm sure that will be, some things will be said.
All right. Hey, congratulations. Keep up the good work, and then we'll talk
you.
about moving on to the Final Four next week. How's that sound?
Thank you.
All right. That's Alexa Smith from the CU volleyball team on to the Sweet 16. We're going to talk men's basketball after we take a timeout here at the Buffalo Stampede.
Done. He gets to Collier, and he will launch it, and he hits!
Welcome back to the Buffalo Stampede here at the Coors Event Center. This guy here, you know him. He's been around for a long time. He's getting old. It's Dominic Collier, senior point guard for the Colorado Buffaloes. Hey, before we talk some basketball, how about that volleyball team getting the Sweet 16? How cool is that?
Oh, yeah, that's really good for the program. And it's really good. Oh, it's really good for the program. And then just to see the girls so happy that they're going to the Sweet 16, I'm just really excited for them.
Yeah, good stuff. CU women in Lexington against Nebraska coming up later on this week. How much do different teams kind of interact a little bit? I mean, are you friends with a lot of like girls in the basketball team or track athletes or volleyballers?
Oh, yeah, we're all friends with each other. We all hang out with each other and interact with each other because we have to be around each other almost every day. I'm at Dowd Ward in the Champion Center and up eating, so we interact with each other a lot, and then we're real familiar with everyone on every team.
Well, it's the Buffs family. We're always cheering each other on, obviously. So good luck to the volleyball team against Nebraska coming up this week. All right, how about this season right now? You guys are sitting at 6-1, coming off that loss to Colorado State last week. That was a tough one, certainly, but it's been a good start to the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a good start. We had a slip up in the last game, CSU, but we're trying to keep it rolling.
You know, that's a tough matchup. And anytime you get into a rivalry game, obviously, you know the emotions are going to be high. The intensity picks up in a game like that, doesn't it? In particular, when you're playing on the road like you were last week.
Oh, of course. Everyone knows how big that game is, especially for people in the state of Colorado, and that's grown up in Colorado. So we knew that going into that game it was going to be a crazy crowd, and they were going to be on top of their game, no matter how they played the games before that. We knew that they were going to be ready for that game. So we just came up short, but we can't determine our season off of that loss. We have to keep moving and continue to stay focused in practice and continue to work.
Let me guess. After the game, Tad Boyle probably talked to you guys about rebounding, didn't he?
Oh, of course, of course. That was the first thing he actually talked about.
And disappointing that you guys were minus 14, I think, in that game.
Oh yeah, we were. Yeah. So we took that to heart, and then we try to come back the next day and continue to work on what we need to work on, and then just go into our next game with a different focus.
Does it make it more disappointing, being that it's that game that you guys suffer your first loss of the season?
I don't think it's more disappointing. I think it's just disappointing as a whole that we lost, because we were on such a good roll, and then we feel like we could have won that game if we came and then we just followed our game plan. But it's over with, so we need to keep on moving. Yeah, I got a game against New Mexico on Wednesday, and of course this weekend the Buffaloes are on the road against a top 15 team in Xavier. Your senior campaign, can you believe it's here already? Oh man, it's really flown by actually.
Who's it tougher on, you or your mom?
Oh, probably my mom. To be honest with you, yes, my mom.
How do you approach a year like this, knowing that this is the final year of college basketball?
Just to pretty much let it all hang out, because it's my last year, and then. Yeah, it's the last year, so just to let it hang out, really, and just to have fun. That's just the most part, to have fun, because my last to go around playing college ball with all of my brothers, and then just the coaches, just a whole family. So yeah, I think the main thing, just go out and have fun. You know,
I think I was talking to Derek McCartney towards the end of the football season, and he said, you know, you get here as a freshman, you think, oh heck, it's 4 or 5 years off, and next thing you know, it's upon you already.
That is true.
When did it kind of hit you?
I don't really know. I think when our very first game, I'm like, dang, this is the first time that
the last first game you're going to have.
The last first game I'm going to ever have here.
Did you approach the season any differently?
I try to just be more focused than I ever came in here, and just to Yeah, probably just the focus part.
When you look at this team right now, the way it's constituted, you guys have been pretty good defensively, and maybe last game notwithstanding, been a pretty good rebounding team. Do you like the makeup of this team and kind of how it's maturing?
Oh yeah, I do like the makeup of this team. In practice, we push each other every day, and then there's no time that you can slack off because everyone's going to keep coming at you. And then I think that makes us better on defense. So when we go against good guards and good bigs, that we're already prepared for that. But we need to be more challenging on ourselves on rebounding because, as you know, that's the issue for us right now.
This weekend, you're on the road in Cincinnati against number 13 Xavier, a team that's coming off a big win here a couple of days ago, a team you beat here at the Coors Event Center last year. What do you think about this matchup? Certainly a great challenge for the Buffaloes.
Oh, it really is a great challenge. It's a great opportunity for us, too, to go into a hostile environment, number 15 Xavier, and just to go out there and just play hard and try to get the W. But we got New Mexico first and trying to get that secure first.
What do you think is the biggest piece of advice you can give the youngsters on this team heading into a game like that?
Just try to learn from the experience of the CSU because it's going to be almost like the same atmosphere, probably a little more louder because they're top 15th in the country, so they're going to have fans everywhere screaming and stuff. So just keep your composure, and then when we get down, or if we get down, just stay together as a team.
All right, I like it. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, Dowd Collier, senior point guard for the Colorado Buffaloes at Xavier on Saturday. Coming up next, we're talking CU women's basketball as we continue here in the Stampede.
Carter on the run for Colorado. Osick, put the ball up in the air. Childers went for it, took 2 steps to the easy layup.
And we continue here in the Buffalo Stampede. I'm Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Colorado women 6-1 of the season. Dominating win last week. The Buffaloes over the Bison of North Dakota State, 108-59. One of the big parts of the ball game was Peyton Carter, right here in the Boulder area out of Monarch High School. Had 12 points, 8 assists last week. Well, that was kind of a cakewalk, wasn't it, last week?
Yep, it was. It was really fun. We had a great game. We pushed the ball. We did everything that Coach told us to do, and it worked out pretty well.
You know, a game like that, I would have to think, so everybody gets in when you're up by 49 points or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That's a good team-building kind of victory, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It was really fun just getting to play with everyone, I think, and so everyone kind of mixed in and played with each other, and that was a fun part of it.
And it makes the next day in practice a little bit better because everyone's got some game time, and so everyone's feeling good about themselves.
Yep, exactly.
How would you say the Buffs are playing right now? You feel good about the way this team's playing?
Yeah, I feel really good. I mean, I think we all are really confident, and we're going into tomorrow night confident as well, and I think that's helping us.
What are you learning about the college game being a freshman?
I'm learning that it's a lot faster than high school. Everything is faster.
Everyone's bigger.
Defense is harder. You have to be on alert more compared to high school, I guess. But yeah, it's a lot more fun, and I mean, playing faster is more fun. So. Were
you always a Buff fan growing up in the area?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Was there ever any question where you're going to go to college?
Yes, there's a lot of question. I didn't actually know that I didn't exactly want to stay in state when I was looking to go to college because I just wanted to. I mean, everyone kind of wants to
explore
the
world a little bit,
right? But then I started looking a lot on the East Coast, and I took some visits to schools that had offered me, and I just kind of decided that I wanted to be closer to home, and I kind of started realizing like how much my family means to me and seeing them means to me. So I didn't want to be far away from them, and I didn't want to only see them once or twice a year.
Well, let's be honest. You got outside of Colorado and realize there's no place as beautiful as Colorado.
You're so right.
She's from Monarch High School, 12 points, 8 assists in that big Buffs victory over the Bison last week. In fact, after the ball game, let's hear some comments from J.R. Payne and Janae Bunn.
What an exciting game for us, for a coach to look at the stat sheet and see that every single player on the roster played significant minutes, rebounded the basketball, scored the basketball, executed the game plan. There is no such thing as a perfect game, but our team played really well tonight, and I'm really proud of us and everybody's effort. Well, what didn't we see? We saw rebounding, we saw scoring, we see an 8 assists to 1 turnover ratio. Peyton was awesome in transition. We're always asking her to, shoot the ball, be ready to score the ball, and I think she did everything, that we wanted her and needed her to do tonight.
I feel like it's definitely helped my confidence a lot, and just letting me know that I can do this and I'm supposed to be playing here. So it's helped a lot. I think what really gets me going is blocking shots. That's my thing. That's what I like to do.
Well, I think like Janae said it all. For us, everything starts on defense. We feel like defense kickstarts our offense. Defense, kickstarts our rebounding. All of that kickstarts our energy. So I think the biggest focus was really trying to dictate tempo from a defensive standpoint. And from there, everything just kind of flowed.
There's post-game comments from the Buffs' victory over North Dakota State, 108-59. Buffs have got a midweek game as we continue with Peyton Carter up in Fort Collins against Colorado State. You're a local girl. You know what this rivalry means, right?
Yeah, it's a big rivalry. I mean, I've grown up watching CSU games for 18 years, so I know how big of a rivalry it is, and just seeing like football play CSU and men's basketball just played CSU, so it's important that we show we own the state.
There you go. Rocky Mountain Showdown on the college basketball women's hardwood midweek for the Colorado Buffaloes. You know, one of the unique things about you, you've been a vegetarian since birth. Now, from an athletic standpoint, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's tough. I wouldn't say it's tough, but it's important to get what I need to eat, like get all the nutrients that I need so I can be successful on the court. So I have to find other sources of protein, obviously.
Right.
So and so I just have to be more careful, I guess, and make sure, like I've met with Laura, the nutritionist, to make sure I'm getting what I need and how much protein I need. So we've been working on that.
I'd have to imagine in the weight room, those strength coaches are always on you about that kind of thing. So it's something you got to continually think about. All right, so another weekend off without a game this week, and after the CSU game, you got Dartmouth next week here at the Coors Event Center. Give us a thought or two about that game.
I mean, it's just like any other game. We're gonna come out. I don't know. We don't know much about them because we haven't really gone over them. But
always important to protect the home court, though.
Right, protecting the home court, and we're just going to come out strong like any other game and protect our court.
Have you thought about the Pac-12 rather? I mean, this might be the top women's college basketball conference in America.
Yeah,
it'll be quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I mean, we're only 4 games away from the Pac-12 place, so. I'm excited to see how it is and see what it's going to be like, and just get to like see all the Pac-12 players, and I think that's going to be exciting.
Jumping into the big-time college basketball here. Peyton Carter, good luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, freshman for the Colorado Buffaloes. As we continue here in the Stampede, we'll take a timeout. Neill Woelk of CUBuffs.com is going to join us next.
Montez fakes, following, bounds, and he's into the end zone. With tight ends lead blocking, Aaron Hagler.
Once again, we welcome you back to the Buffalo Stampede along with Neill Woelk of CUBuffs.com. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Well, the Buffs football team, of course, coming off a 5-7 season. No bowl game for the Buffaloes, but there are, as David Bowie said, changes happening with the Buffs. That was terrible. I'm sorry. On Tuesday, we found out that co-offensive coordinator Brian Lindgren leaving the Buffaloes. He resigned to become the OC at Oregon State. I guess we shouldn't be terribly surprised, huh?
No, I think, when you look at what Brian Lindgren did here, especially with the quarterbacks, I mean, what he did with Sefo Liufau, developing Sefo Liufau, turning him into a record-setting quarterback, did a great job with that. CU's offense has been very productive under Brian, and so I think when they called and, wanted to talk to him, certainly he had to listen.
Well, and you kind of expect this thing. After a down season, a lot of times there's some changes that are made, and so along with the change of Lindgren leaving, Darren Cheverini starts calling plays. He was the co-offensive coordinator, but worked from the sideline. And Clayton Adams elevated now to co-offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Clayton becomes the co-offensive coordinator, and I think he'll concentrate a lot more on the running game. And that'll be, I think, a nice combination because Darren Cheverini obviously very in tune with the passing game, the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, and things. This brings in Clayton Adams' input. He has coached running backs before. He now coaches the offensive line, so he has a very good feel for that running game. I like that combination just because I think Clayton will help Darren remember that there is such a thing as a running game once in a while.
Well, it's also going to be interesting, and if you've ever been around Darren Cheverini, you love the guy. You love his passion. He loves Colorado, but this will be a bit of a transition for him, being up now in the booth and having to focus on calling the plays.
Yeah, Darren's never called plays before. He's been around offense all his life. I mean, he played wide receiver, played in the NFL, has been at Texas Tech, up here as the co-offensive coordinator. But the good thing here is he's going to have somebody to lean on with Clayton, and they can discuss it. And I thought the co-offensive coordinators worked well here. I never saw any kind of issue with it. I like having Clayton having some input there and just being able to sit down. Those two guys I know get along really well. I see them every day. They talk about a lot of things, and so I think that's a nice combination.
And Neill, this is really kind of part and parcel. When you have a season where maybe you didn't reach expectations, every coaching staff, Rick George included as the athletic director, Lance Carl, of course, is associate athletic director. Every stone remains or is turned over to make sure they're looking at every detail to see if they can fix whatever the issues were.
Oh, no doubt. I think when you have a season like this, you have to look at and say, okay, what do we have to do better? And that starts at the top, starts at Mike McIntyre's office, his doorstep, and it just goes down through the staff. And I think they are taking a look at that. I don't think I'm sure they didn't plan on losing Brian Lindgren. Right. I don't think that was in the cards. But when Oregon State called, they said, sure, you can, they gave permission for Oregon State to talk to him. And so as soon as that happened, then they started making plans and moving forward. And so I think this is I think it's a nice step for Colorado.
Well, before we shift gears into basketball, certainly volleyball here in just a moment, we found out early this week that Isaiah Oliver, foregoing his final year of college football, he was named, by the way, first team All-Pac-12 early this week, but he's leaving for the NFL.
Again,
not terribly surprised.
You talk about things that are no surprise. I mean, everybody kind of figured all year long that he was going to be a first or second round draft choice. You and I were, around the scouts all the time at practice every day, and there would be five scouts at practice, and they were looking at one person most of the time, and they're looking at number 26. And so, no surprise that Isaiah is going. Wish him the best of luck. Just a class act, great kid all around. Certainly leaves a hole in the CU defense next year, but Isaiah is going to succeed at the next level.
Yeah, he was a guy that said during the year, he said it wasn't an easy decision. He was kind of going back and forth. Got a rapid fire here. Men's basketball drops is first game of the season last weekend at Colorado State. Got a big one coming up against Xavier this weekend.
That's a big game. That's on the road, number 13 Xavier. Big game for Colorado basketball. Love to see I'm looking forward to seeing how the young guys react to that kind of atmosphere.
The women 6-1, playing some very good basketball as well.
Yeah, again, what J.R. Payne's doing with that team, young team, they're advancing a little quicker than maybe we thought they would.
And for the first time since 1997, how about the volleyball team in the Sweet 16 for the first time in 20 years? Against
Nebraska, too. What more could you want? I mean, Colorado and Nebraska had some great matches in years past. Big 8, Big 12. It was funny talking to the volleyball players this week. They have no recollection of Colorado ever playing Nebraska because they weren't around when they were in the same league. But great step forward for Jesse Mahoney's team.
Yep, great job out of the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1997. On Saturday, Buffalo's men's basketball in the Queen City to take on number 13 Xavier. Pre-game coverage gets underway in the Colorado Basketball Network at 2:30. The tip-off at 3 between the Buffs and the Musketeers. Also streaming live at cubuffs.com. For Neill Woelk, I'm Mark Johnson as we put a wrap this week on the Buffalo Stampede.